Can I speak with one of the attorneys? I have a question.
Okay, can I tell him what it's regarding?
Yes. In the foundation of the, beginning of the country, we pretty much had, many different articles, and as well as the Articles of Confederation, as well as the Constitution. And over time, those had been revised in 1968. And then, and we know that that's done by either the people, public law, was, originally the original Constitution of 1885, and then was revised in 1968 by legislation. So I was wondering where the codes were drafted, and if legislation had helped draft the codes and ordinances within the charter of the city of St. Augustine.
Well, the special laws of Florida from 1845, I believe it was,
Okay.
is what designated the city as its own government, as a municipal government, and gave it the rights to create the charter.
Okay. So is that done by like a board of directors or commissioners or?
It was the legislature at the time of the state.
Right.
So like the state legislature.
It obviously, yes, it gave right to make the ordinances as long as they coincide with the Constitution. They can't supersede. So, but my question is even though legislation gave them the authority through the special laws, and they have the right to make their own laws, or codes or ordinances, if you will, codes and ordinances. My question is who drafts them up since like 1925 or moving forward in the modern age?
Who drafts the ordinances?
Yeah. Would they, are they created?
Well, it's different. Usually the city attorney will draft the ordinance. If it's something that like the commission brings forward, or if another department within the city has something that they, want to possibly add to the ordinances, it has to go before the city commission.
Yep.
And then either the person in that department will draft it, and the city attorney approves it, and then the commission has to see it and approve it.
Okay.
But ultimately, it's the commission that approves it, but different departments in the city can draft them.
Okay. So, correct me if I'm wrong. Essentially, these codes or ordinances become drafted, and they're brought by to a board of directors, and it could be even like, let's say, other corporate instrumentalities, such as corporations. Like, for example, the bar or a restaurant, the New York Pizza. Let's say these communities, these corporations within the city of St. Augustine come together, and they can go to the board of directors or a town council, and then usually these issues are then brought to the awareness of, let's say, a board of directors, and then attorneys, and then going to the town commissioners, the board of commissioners, to then bounce back between the attorney within the language of the writing of the actual code and ordinance that then becomes effective after the commissioner agrees to it, and then it becomes a code and an ordinance?
Yeah, it has to go before the commission twice. They have to have 2 readings, and it has to have a public hearing, so anybody from the public can come and talk about it.
Yep.
And it gets advertised in the paper before second reading, because that's when it's going to have its public hearing.
Okay.
And then it's voted on by the commission, and they decide whether or not they want to pass it and make it part of the code, or deny it and get rid of it.
Okay. So does there any time between these ordinances or codes, are they ever pushed across the desk of a state legislator between the districts, let's say 5, 10, 13, like there's multiple different districts, and then there's a legislator, and so there's we have a House of Senate, we then have a legislator, and then the governor, obviously, and, the congressman, and there's different congressmen in Florida, too, so, and legislators.
Right.
So,
No, they they never go before any of them. We will check to make sure that we're not overstepping. If there's a state law in place that says you can't, that says a local government can't do this, then obviously we won't do it. But we don't necessarily show it to them. We don't have any reason to show it to anybody.
Okay. That's all I really wanted to know.
Okay.
Thanks. So legislation never contributed towards the passing of these ordinances.
No, we just check to make sure that there's no legislation saying that we aren't allowed, because some stuff will say it's preempted to the state or it's preempted to the federal government. Local government can't do this. We always check for that.
Right. I understand.
To make sure that we're not overstepping somewhere we're not supposed to.
Well, I will say, reading into the original codes, powers and duties, Article 3, Section 3.01 talks about general state laws, and essentially what it says, all general laws, of the state applicable to municipal corporations, now or which may hereafter be enacted, and which are not in conflict with the provisions of this charter, or with the ordinances and resolutions hereafter enacted by the city commission, shall be applicable to the city, provided, however, that nothing contained in this charter shall be construed as limiting the power of the city commission to enact any ordinance or resolution not in conflict with the Constitution of the state or with the express provision of this charter. So, how do you guys go into the level of where you're making sure that your ordinances are not conflicting with the authority of the people out of the Article 1, and then other articles and amendments without actually carefully, do they really go and comb over the constitutional liberties and what those phrases and the words really mean within that?
They are supposed to, from my understanding. That's my understanding. They're supposed to do that.
Okay, well,
I mean, I'm not the one that writes them, so I don't know.
Well, you're really helping me out. So this is factual information. You're the fourth person that I've talked to. So if I was to document this and publish this information out into a public record, these are the facts.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
Have a blessed day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.